friends, welcome to iQuanta. Today we are going to deal with the para jumble from slot 1 2022. So this is a question from your actual CAT paper, and I would recommend you to first pause the screen and try to solve it on your own. You have to decide upon the proper sequencing of the sentences so that the paragraph becomes meaningful. So take your time. So I hope that by now you have tried solving it on your own, and now I would like to discuss my approach, that how I would like to go after this paragraph, after this question. So first of all, I would recommend that you are not actually required to read all the sentences word for word, because if you do this, you will end up wasting a lot of time, which is not required in the examination. So how can you do this very quickly and save a lot of time and come up with the right answer with the right sequencing of the sentences? For that, you have to focus only on the initial part of all the sentences. So just focus on the initial part of all the sentences and try to see what possible links you can find here, only in the initial part. So that is how you do this. You don't read all the sentences entirely. You just read the initial part, just a few words from all the sentences, and try to see if there is any link between these openers of these individual sentences. So first sentence is that some company leaders are basing their decisions on this and that. Shorter commutes support innovation does this and that. And this is not always the case. And when I read this sentence, this actually captures my attention, that what is not always the case? This is not always the case. So what is not always the case? It says that remote work doesn't automatically lead to greater creativity and productivity all the time. So this is not always the case, which means I'm going to look for a sentence that talks in favor of remote work, because remote work does not automatically lead to this. This is not always the case, and that case has been defined. But this is not always the case. So remote work does not always lead to greater creativity and productivity. So let us look for a sentence that is actually talking in favor of remote work. So if I just scan through the paragraph, or if I read a little bit after this initial part, I will see that actually here it is talking about commutes and productivity as support for work from home. So this work from home scenario is actually referred to as remote work system. So here we can see an argument in favor of work from home scenario. But this is not always the case. It is not going to be beneficial all the time. So here I am actually able to find a link between 4 and 3, that this part is not always the case. So I can see that 4 and 3 actually make a good pair. Why? Because 4 says this and 3 says that this is not always the case. So here it is supporting the work from home system, and here actually saying that it will not work. Why? Because office water cooler conversations are also very important for innovation. So that is how I could find this link between 4 and 3. Now I would like to highlight one more thing which is very beautiful about this paragraph. Sentence 1 says that some company leaders say this and that, and sentence 4 says that some see this link between long communication like this and that. So I don't care about the rest of the part, but I would read this part again like this, that some say this and some say this. So I'm using a filler. You have to notice that actually I'm using a filler between these two sentences. When I read 1 and 4 together, I am using a filler, a connector, and. So I would read this again, that some say this and some say this, but this is not always the case. So I'm using a filler again. So here I'm using the filler but. So this actually works sometimes. You can use this, you can imagine these fillers on your own in order to connect these ideas. So if you read this now, it becomes some say this and some say this, but this is not always the case. Now you can find a healthy connection between these 3 sentences. So you can place 1 here. Now what about 2? 2 talks about shorter commute support innovation by giving employees more time in the office. Now if you place 2 here, actually 3 ends with talking about water cooler conversations, importance of water cooler conversations. But if you place 2 here, actually it doesn't connect with the importance of water cooler conversations. So after water cooler conversations, you cannot talk about the shorter commutes. So it doesn't go well here. So the only remaining space for this 2 is here. And if you read these sentences carefully, you will actually realize that 2 is a beautiful and perfect opener for this given set, because it lays the foundation of the subject matter. It talks about the shorter commute support innovation by giving employees more time in the office. And then some companies have also already started focusing on this factor, though there are some people who try to make this an excuse for this, I mean the longer commute an excuse for the work from home scenario, but this is not always the case, because office water cooler conversations are also very important for innovation. So if you break this paragraph in this way, you can do this very quickly and you can see that it actually works. So am I trying to teach you a shortcut here? No, actually. I'm only trying to discuss a technique and approach with you which you can apply in your own questions while dealing with these para-jumble questions. That only by focusing on the initial part of a sentence, you can try to make a link between the other sentences. And this actually works. You need only some practice to get better at this thing. And if you do this frequently on daily basis, you will see that you will be doing para-jumbles in less and less time as you grow. So from this side, that's all for now. See you again. Thank you.